The price of oil still sitting around, well, $51 per barrel this morning. And a special guest is joining us now, John Hofmeister, former president of Shell Oil. John, welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
I want to bring to your attention Ryan Zinke, who President-elect Donald Trump wants to put in the Interior Department.
Right.
I think he wants to drill on federal lands, and I think he wants to drill in the Arctic National Wildlife Preserve. You agree?
Well, I would hope so. The
Really?
federal lands are a huge part of the real estate of this country, and to not allow American citizens to acquire wealth and develop the economy on the federal lands is absurd. And let's take the Arctic wildlife. In the previous Bush administration, there was a lot of discussion about the Arctic wildlife. Somebody put a postage stamp on the page of a newspaper. That is the amount of space we're talking about drilling in the Arctic wildlife. So with a postage stamp on a huge newspaper, why can't the Americans have access to the mineral wealth that they're entitled to?
However, it costs a lot of money to drill in the Arctic. Your production cost of a barrel of oil is way up there. Well, we don't drill unless the price of oil overall around the world goes much closer to $60, $70, $80 a barrel.
Well, exactly right when it comes to oil, but there's also natural gas. And natural gas, I think, is really the energy wave of the future when it comes to fossil fuels. As you know, I work on converting natural gas to transportation fuel.
Yep.
And I think that is good for the environment, and it's good for transportation. And it's also good for the oil companies, because guess who drills the natural gas?
The oil companies.
Yes.
However, you've got the same problem. The price of natural gas is very, very low. And if if it goes up a little bit, a lot more production comes on stream, and it's still very low. So people don't produce as much of it as they could.
Well, yes, but my plan would bring 30 billion cubic feet a day of additional production of natural gas, or additional demand for natural gas.
Are you talking about fracking, John?
Oh, yes, you would have to frack to get the natural gas.
Can you satisfy the Greenies that fracking's okay?
Well, you couldn't satisfy the Greens with anything that has to do with fossil fuels, because they are simply against it. But, of course, they're also against the economic development that comes from developing of mineral resources.
Okay. And
that they're willing to impoverish their fellow citizens.
You are the top guy at the Shell company.
Right.
They want to put the top guy at Exxon to make him the top diplomat of the United States, Rex Tillerson. This is what The Economist said about it. And this is a very, very brief quote. This is The Economist, British magazine. From private emperor to public envoy. That was just one of the very critical reports on Tillerson to go to state. What do you say?
They clearly don't know the man. I would put a new word in there. Let's use the word trustworthy. The man is trustworthy.
Do you know him?
I do. He would not be where he is if he were not trustworthy in this tremendous industry called oil and gas. He's trusted by the American industry. He's trusted by the global industry.
He's trusted by Putin, and that could be a problem.
Well, you know, if you're dealing with a head of state, you don't get to choose who that head of state is. You deal with who you have to deal with. But he's looking out for ExxonMobil shareholders in his dealings in Russia. The fact that he's dealing with Putin, or the fact that he's dealing with some other world leader, they are who they are. But what he's trying to do is his job. Okay. And if he's now the Secretary of State, he will bring his trustworthiness, he will bring his other incredible skill base into the job of Department of State. And I think he'll do a very good job for the American people.
It's very good that we're coming up on a hard break, so I don't have enough time to get the money out of you, which you owe me for getting the price of a barrel of oil wrong at the end of the year. How about you got 2 more weeks to go?
2 more weeks, and I will save my pennies.
Yeah, and you'll be back. Okay. John Hofmeister, thank you very much indeed.